Rich people buy time, poor people sell time.
How many times have you heard some variation of this phrase? Don't sell your time for money.
You're exchanging your time for money. Well, what does that mean?
Trading your time for money is a sucker's bet.
I don't want to work anymore. I can't trade my dollars and hours. Our country wasn't founded on this concept of trading time.
I look at it as if you're trading your time for money, you're always going to be limited in how much money you can make.
This is a finance bro way of saying don't make money exclusively from a source where you get paid X amount of dollars for Y amount of work, which is basically every job. There are various reasons given for why selling your time for money is a bad idea. Like you only have so many hours in a day you can work, so A, trading your time for money limits your potential income, B, trading your time for money also makes you more financially vulnerable if you are unable to work, and C, it's really hard to sell a course on trading your time for money unless you're a college. Although maybe don't say that last one out loud. The alternative to trading your time for money is usually investing, starting a business, living a wildly alternative lifestyle, or some combination of all three of these things. But I am here to tell you that while this very broad phrase might have some merit in specific situations, it's probably very much complete bullshit, and you really shouldn't take anybody who says it too seriously. At best, the phrase "don't sell your time for money" is just another example of hustle bros needlessly bashing on regular day jobs that provide stable living to a majority of Americans. It also perpetuates the idea that simply working a full-time job is not good enough, and that a side hustle or whole extra business is mandatory to get ahead these days. They might not be wrong, but we will get to that later. Most importantly, the thinking behind the line of "don't sell your time for money" is just wrong. Without being a trust fund baby, there really is no way to reliably make money without investing some time. And more importantly, trading your time for money can be a genuinely great way to build wealth, so as long as you're doing it correctly. So it's time to learn how money works to find out why you should absolutely sell your time for money. The most common way people sell their time for money is by working at a job. The transaction of dollars per hour is very easy to see because it will be included in the employment contract and regular paychecks.
Problem? Well, the person at Starbucks gets paid by the hour. The person at the gas station gets paid by the hour. But guess what? Most doctors and lawyers also get paid by the hour.
An employer will buy an hour of time from an employee for a predetermined amount of money. This amount could be anything from minimum wage to hundreds of dollars an hour for highly skilled and very senior employees. Another increasingly popular way that people are selling their time for money is through gig work, which isn't as clear-cut as X amount of dollars for Y amount of hours, which means there's a chance for workers to take home less than the minimum wage for the hours they put in, but exploitive or not, gig work is just another way of selling time for money.
The gig economy could be a much better option for everybody if we untied the protections and benefits that we have created to support this full-time job.
Cool, great. I'm pretty sure you all know how jobs work, so why am I telling you about this in such basic detail? Well, because jobs are not the only way that we sell our time for money.
Sorry about that.
People will often spend hours clipping coupons, avoiding toll roads, and spending their weekends trying to sell used junk from around their house to make a few extra bucks, without realizing that the time they spent doing this was worth a lot more than the money they made, or saved. If they were doing this to have more money in their pocket at the end of the month, then they would have been better off picking up a few extra hours at work. I get it, some people work fixed schedules and don't have the option to pick up more work on a whim. But we have already seen that gig work has exploded in popularity, so that could offer an alternative. If you're a high-income earner, gig work might struggle to match your regular income, but then clipping coupons is likely to put you even further behind, and so will most other activities for that matter. Amongst financial professionals, there is a type of investor called the sophisticated idiot. A sophisticated or accredited investor is someone who has more than $1 million in assets outside of their primary residence, or earns more than $200,000 a year. American financial regulators have decided that people making this kind of money are smart enough to have enough financial security to make riskier, less regulated investments. Medical professionals, like doctors and dentists, fall into the sophisticated idiot category all the time, because they frequently make big investments that take up a lot of their time. A dentist developing an apartment complex might be able to make a lot of money, but investments like this can take hours of planning and oversight. Even if they are successful, they often walk away with less money than had they just taken on a few more cases and stayed in the operating room. Doctors and dentists are very smart people, but because they don't think they're selling their time for money, they often undervalue the money they could have made if they weren't trying to make passive income. Now, if you love flipping properties, selling stuff on Craigslist, or seeing how much money you can save at Walmart with your coupons, then by all means go ahead. But just remember, if you are only doing this to save money, then you are just selling your time for money in a different way, and probably not getting a great price for it in the process.
What do you want from me, man?
People not realizing that they are always going to be selling their time for money also make the exact opposite mistake to this. They overvalue their time. There are things you could do right now that would only take an hour and would save you a lot more money than you would make in an hour at work. Renegotiating insurance, utilities, and mortgages, canceling subscriptions you never use anymore, or applying for a new credit card with a sweet sign-up bonus. All of these will take a bit of time, but will put much more money back into your pocket than doing an extra hour in the office.
Because you waste time on things that never pay you.
This segues us nicely into the next reason why you should sell your time for money. It's going to be a better way to invest for a lot of young people. There are investments that are more passive than others. For example, if the doctor would have just used their money to buy a bunch of dividend stocks, then it would have likely only taken them a few hours to do some research and make the purchase trades to get a well-balanced portfolio that will pay them for decades to come. If a dentist could earn $1,000 an hour while practicing, and it took them 5 hours to consult with a financial planner that charged them another $1,000 on how to structure $1 million stock portfolio, then the dentist would need to make up $6,000 for this to have been a good use of their time. A $1 million portfolio should return between $50,000 and $100,000 per year over the long term, so it would take roughly a month for the dentist to get ahead on this investment. This was a good way for the dentist to sell their time for money, and that's using very generous figures for how much that dentist could make at their practice. But the math doesn't work like this for most people. Most people earn much less, but also have less to invest. A regular professional making $15 an hour with $1,000 to invest really shouldn't overthink things. Even if they make phenomenal returns of 100% per year by day trading using techniques they picked up from some totally legit guy on the internet, that's still only $1,000 a year. And before you start talking about compounding returns in the comment section, may I remind you that the greatest hedge fund of all time only made 60% annualized returns before fees. So if you really think some random guy is going to make 100% annualized returns after watching a tutorial from some random guy on the internet, then I have truly failed to teach you how money works. Anyway, the problem is that because working for money gets such a bad rap, and passive income is continuously held up as the holy grail of financial success, a lot of people choose to make small investments with money that would have been way better spent increasing their earnings power. $1,000 can pay for qualifications to do a lot of jobs that pay significantly more than minimum wage. Now, I'm not talking about online courses or college degrees. I am talking about real work qualifications to do work that requires specialized training. If you have some technical skill, a coding bootcamp can get you an entry-level job as a software engineer. It might not be Google, but you could still be earning a lot more than minimum wage, plus the passive income from a $1,000 stock portfolio. Working on acquiring qualifications and marketable skills is not as sexy to most people as picking the next Tesla, but it's a much more reliable way to make money. And hey, once you are selling your time for more money, you can use that extra money to work on building passive income. But maybe you want to speed up this process by starting your own business. Well, then understanding that you are always selling your time for money is going to be even more important. In my career as an investment banker, I've been lucky enough to talk with a lot of successful company founders about what made their business work. Starting a business is always going to take a lot of time and energy, and as an early founder, you will need to accept that you are going to basically be doing everything, from the sexy stuff like product design and marketing to the boring stuff like accounting. As a business grows, a big mistake that a lot of business owners make is either trying to continue to do everything themselves or delegating away everything but the fun stuff. A business can only get so large before it can no longer be operated by a single person, and letting go of something that you control can be hard. The finance gurus are absolutely right when they say that you need to leverage other people's time and experience to scale a business, but this isn't the excuse to forgo the boring stuff either. If a business owner has a background in design and no experience at all in business management, then they should hire a business manager to delegate the day-to-day operations of the business to them, because their time is better spent designing new products. Similarly, if a business owner has a decade of experience as an operations executive and no experience whatsoever as a designer, they should hire a designer and delegate that work to them, even if they think they would have more fun thinking of cool new products. Understanding that you are always selling your time for money will really help you if you decide to go into business for yourself, because it will always remind you to stick to the tasks where you are worth the most, and delegate the tasks that you can't do to a professional standard even if you really want to. Despite the few stories of college dropouts starting billion-dollar companies, the average age of a billion-dollar founder is 47 years old, and that's because they spent decades in a career that gave them skills, which meant they could leverage their time to build a company worth $1 billion. So if selling your time for money is not such a bad plan, then why does every personal finance bro on the internet shit on it so much? Even the infallible Warren Buffett has been quoted saying that if you don't make money while you sleep, you will never be wealthy.
Oh, damn!
So are all of these guys wrong? Well, not really. But they aren't getting to the point I think they're trying to get across very well. And they are definitely reading their audience all wrong. Let's start with Warren Buffett. I struggled to find an instance of him actually saying this quote, so it's entirely possible that someone falsely credited him with this line and everybody else on the internet just went with it, but that doesn't matter. He has definitely said some similar things at one of his many talks. Anyway, he is totally correct. Wealthy people should have passive investments that make them money while they sleep, but that doesn't mean that the best way they become wealthy is by focusing on those investments. It's a classic rich people eat caviar, but eating caviar won't make you rich scenario. When Buffett gives his speeches, he's normally talking to rooms of Berkshire investors, or people that could afford to attend an event that Buffett was speaking at. They are by and large already selling their time for lots of money, so passive investing is the next step. Nobody is reasonably choosing between a $250,000 investment in Berkshire and a course that can make them an extra $20 an hour. Now, as for all the other financial influencers on the internet, at least 50% of them are just saying that earned income is trash and passive income is the bomb because they want to sell you a course on how to make passive income. I don't think anybody should be surprised by scams and dubious claims on the internet anymore. But what about the other 50%? The other 50% of people making personal finance content really are trying to do their best. But financial content given to a general audience can only be so good because, well, it's general advice. Invest into a portfolio that will make you passive income is not bad advice. And yeah, eventually, if you want to retire, you will need most of your money to come from a source that requires very little time input. The problem is that broad statements like this perpetuate the idea that making money one way is inherently good and making money another way is bad. This good advice makes no considerations for someone's age, qualifications, income, existing assets and liabilities, obligations, time horizon, and goals. You shouldn't watch a Dr. Mike video instead of getting a checkup. So you shouldn't watch a Graham Stephan video in lieu of making a personalized plan for improving your own personal financial situations. Unfortunately, not everybody can make money for doing nothing. The world does need people to work. No matter what you do, you are always going to be selling your time for money. It's up to you to make sure that you do everything you can to make the hours in your day a highly sought after and marketable product. But speaking of highly marketable products, have you ever wondered why colonial empires were so obsessed with tea and spice? Like they were willing to build navies and go and fight wars on the other side of the world for the stuff. Well, you can find out why it was so special to them in my new video over on how history works.
I work hard for the money, so hard for the money. Oh, I something money, come on, give me lots of honey.